If you're traveling to Thailand in 2025, there are some big changes that you need to be aware of. Miss these and you could find yourself paying unexpected fees, missing out on iconic landmarks, or even landing in trouble that you didn't see coming. In this video, I'll cover the iconic landmarks that will be closing down in 2025, the big changes to Thailand's tourist visas, and the best and worst times to visit in 2025. Let's start with the bad news. 2025 might be the last chance to see some of Thailand's most iconic landmarks. In 2024, a serious landslide hit the island of Phuket, killing 13 people and injuring many more, causing major damage and raising some big questions about the safety around Phuket's most popular landmark, the Big Buddha. The landslide happened on the hill where the Big Buddha stands, and experts think the sheer weight of this massive statue, along with the ongoing construction around it, might have made the ground even more unstable. The hillside itself was already vulnerable, especially after heavy rains, and this iconic monument might have just tipped the balance. Authorities are now evaluating the safety of the famous monument, and it's thought that if it proves to be dangerous, they'll consider knocking down the statue, which would be a real shame because it's one of the most famous temples in Thailand. Either way, the Big Buddha is off limits for the foreseeable future, so you'll not be able to visit for at least the first half of 2025. Jay Fai is Bangkok's most legendary street food chef, famous for Michelin-starred crab omelets and signature goggles. For years, her tiny restaurant has been a must-visit for food lovers from all over the world, with people lining up for hours before just to get a taste of some of her dishes. And she even has a Netflix documentary made about her. But now, at 81 years old, Jay Fai has decided to hang up the apron for good. And since she's known for cooking every single dish herself, that means 2025 will be your last chance to try this iconic street food spot. But it's not just landmarks that might be closing down. In 2022, Thailand shocked the world by becoming the first country in Asia to decriminalize cannabis. Almost overnight, cannabis cafes, dispensaries, and stoner bars popped up all over the country. And for a while, it looked like the green revolution was really underway. But now, just a few years later, things might be heading in the opposite direction. Originally, the Thai government planned to fully outlaw recreational cannabis use by 2025, reclassifying it as a controlled substance. However, there's now a shift in their stance. Instead of a complete ban, they're debating keeping cannabis legal, but limiting it to strictly medical use. This means that to be able to legally smoke or buy cannabis, you'd have to have a prescription, something that'll be difficult to come by for most tourists. For travelers in 2025, this is a crucial change to keep an eye on. Even over the last year, there's been more and more arrests for smoking weed in public, which is still illegal. Even if these laws don't pass, I'd be a little careful about when and where you smoke it. But if they do, it's possible that all of the recently built cannabis bars and cafes will disappear from the country. In 2024, there were some major changes to the Thailand tourist visa, which could affect your plans. In the past, Thailand has allowed 30-day entry with visa on arrival to a large number of countries, including the UK, US, and most EU countries. But now, in 2025, that's been extended to 45 days, giving you a longer time in the country. It's also a little easier to visit if you're visiting from India, so you can now have a visa on arrival for up to 15 days. So it seems that it's a little easier to get into the country, and if you want to extend these stays by another month, you can always extend it at the immigration offices while you're here. But if you want to stay even longer, Thailand has introduced the new Destination Thailand Visa, or the DTV, specifically designed for digital nomads, making it easier for remote workers to live in Thailand without frequent renewals. The DTV is a 5-year, multiple-entry visa that lets holders enter and leave Thailand as often as they like, with each stay lasting up to 180 days, plus an optional 180-day extension. This costs around 10,000 baht, and it's a great option for anyone trying to stay here long term. Over the years, it has become increasingly difficult for the Thai government to maintain the natural beauty of some of its most popular destinations. In fact, for some of them, for example Maya Bay and Koh Phi Phi, they've even had to shut down for years at a time in order for them to recover and restore their natural beauty. Also in places like Phuket and Chiang Mai, which were hit last year by severe flooding, it's taken a lot of time and money and effort to get these places back up to scratch, ready for incoming tourists. This is why in 2025, Thailand is introducing the Thailand tourist tax. Now, as you enter the country, every non-Thai citizen will have to pay the tourist tax, and this money will be put towards preservation of tourist sites such as beaches, temples, and national parks. Luckily, it's not a large fee, at only around 300 baht, and most people won't even notice this because if you're flying into the country, this fee will be tacked on to the price of your flight. It's only if you're doing a land or sea entry that you may have to pay upon entry. Hopefully, this leads to a much more sustainable tourist environment in Thailand. But are you wondering when is the best time to visit Thailand in 2025? Well, here's a quick guide to the key events to help you plan. Early in the year, one of the world's biggest celebrations takes place, Chinese New Year on January 29th. While Thailand isn't China, the country's large Chinese community makes it an exciting place to experience this holiday, especially in Bangkok's Chinatown, around Yaowarat Road, where celebrations come alive. But of course, if there's one thing Thailand's known for, it's its hot weather. And there's no better way to cool down than with the world's biggest water fight during Songkran Festival in April. This year, the festival takes place between April 13th to April 15th. This festival draws in huge crowds each year, and with its rise in popularity, hotels and accommodations book up quickly. I've already worked with several clients planning their trips to Songkran, and what we're seeing is places are booking up fast already. So, if this festival is on your list, I'd recommend booking early to secure your stay. And if you're interested in working with me to plan your trip, get in touch through the link below. And in November, Thailand hosts one of the most enchanting festivals, Loi Krathong, or the Festival of Lights, this year on November 7th. If you're in Chiang Mai, you can also catch EPIC Festival, where thousands of lanterns float into the night sky. It's a really beautiful celebration that you won't forget anytime soon. But there are some times during the year that if you visit, you'll end up paying far more, having terrible weather, and you can even put yourself in danger. Northern Thailand is one of the most stunning parts of the country, and it doesn't quite get the love it deserves compared to the beaches of the south. It has amazing natural beauty, stunning temples, and diverse wildlife. But for 2 months out of the year, it turns into a fiery hellscape that you need to stay away from. Every year, farmers across the region burn fields to clear lands for planting, and it's not just a little smoke. Thick clouds of haze roll over the valleys and mountains, stretching right into the towns and cities. In fact, for a period last year, Chiang Mai became the most polluted city in the entire world. So not only can you not admire the stunning beauty of the region because it's hid behind a thick layer of smoke, it also becomes extremely dangerous, especially for children and people with respiratory issues. This apocalyptic nightmare is known as the burning season or smoking season and takes place from late February through April. But every year in Thailand, the rainy season hits the country, causing massive thunderstorms and flooding that can definitely ruin your trip. Historically, the time with the worst weather in Thailand has been between May to September. But in recent years, this is now changing, and the storms are getting worse. This past year, the worst of the flooding occurred again in Chiang Mai, completely submerging large parts of the city, causing millions of dollars worth of damage, and leaving tourists and locals stranded. In fact, it got so bad, a number of the local elephants even drowned. And worst of all, this flooding occurred during mid-October, a time when the rainy season is usually coming to an end. If you want to guarantee good weather in Thailand, I will consider waiting until a little later in the year, perhaps in November. But there is one time of year that is by far the most expensive time to visit in the country, and I've actually seen hotel rates go for 5 times their usual price. If you're looking to save money on your trip to Thailand, the worst time to visit is the period between Christmas and New Year. But obviously for some people, you've got no other option but to visit during this time because that's when you get holiday too. So if you are traveling during this time, prices will be at the lowest about 9 to 6 months beforehand, although they don't really start getting booked up till about 3 to 4 months before. So try your best to book in advance. But the biggest problem you're going to face if you're visiting in 2025 is figuring out where you want to visit. Check out this video here to find out the 5 hidden gem islands you need to visit in 2025.